Welcome to today's edition of Ask Ade Live, and we are using it as one of the series for men who want to enhance their marriage. So, marriage enhancement for men or enrichment for men, and wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So, today we're going to be talking about love is not rude, and I'm going to be sharing with you um, how to make sure that you're not easily triggered to become rude. I'm going to share some thoughts with you, and I pray that what we get here would enrich your marriage, enable you to become more impactful as a husband and as a leader of your team of two, and make you to be that man who make their wife feel very safe, feel loved, and feel encouraged. Now, that's regardless of how they make you feel. As a leader, you get to dictate the temperature and the flow of your marriage and not wait for it wait for your wife to dictate it, and then you just react to it. You don't want to be the one reacting or responding alone. You want to also be the one who creates the temperature. You dictate by your behavior how you want your marriage to go as the leader. Now, not negatively, because you can also dictate negatively and determine that the marriage is going to be a mess and chaotic. But here I'm trying to encourage you to change the temperature, the way your home works, to a beautiful one by surrendering your heart to unconditional love. When you allow love to flow in you and through you, you're gonna discover that everyone around you will feel loved, they'll feel encouraged, they'll feel empowered, they'll feel very safe around you. And that's how you create a blissful marriage, a marriage that just keeps growing, where two of you combine together, you're just getting stronger and stronger together, of course, with God as your real leader. Today we're gonna talk about love again, and this time around, love is not rude. So we're going to look at First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Let's look at it in different translations. The first one, New International Version, says, it does not dishonor others. In other words, love does not dishonor others. Same thing as not being rude, does not dishonor others, always elevates. When you love someone, you elevate them. You don't put yourself down. You don't put yourself down, you elevate them. So as a husband, you elevate your wife. You make your wife feel like $1,000,000, or you make her feel that she can do all that God puts in her heart to do, because she has God and she has your support, your prayers, your backing. So there's no dishonoring, there's no shaming, there's no belittling. Love doesn't do that. And you don't do that also, because you are a child of love. Your DNA is the DNA of God your Father. And so every time I'm sharing all of these things, I'm not trying to say to you to try to be that, because you're already that. God made you and poured out his love in you in salvation. So when we were disconnected by sin, he poured out his love in our hearts when we were redeemed again. So we are designed by God. We're also filled with God. And so being rude is not part of our DNA. Being rude is what happens when we have been hurt, when we have been denied the the flow of God's love, when we have not enjoyed unconditional love for a while, and we're starving for it, and we're looking for it from anywhere. And when we get the counterfeit or the fake love, we lash onto it, and in lashing onto that, that's where the symptom of rudeness, being rude, comes in. And so when we see that, it's a reminder that something needs to be done. There's a shift that needs to be made back to where we originally were. And the way to do that is to allow God's love to flow back into our hearts. And how do we find that? We expose that behavior to God, and we acknowledge his love that is in our heart. We acknowledge that, and we allow him to help us to reinterpret who we really are. So important. The exercise itself looks so simple, but when you're in the process, when you try to do it, you may find it difficult to do on your own. That's why I come in. Those who are first meeting me for the very first time, my name is Adeso Banjo, and I am a pastor and unconditional love coach. I help men navigate their marriages, and women sometimes navigate, move their marriage from where they are, wherever you are in your marriage, struggling, just stagnant, you're not seeing any progress, to the point where you see continuous growth every time. You're becoming closer, you're growing towards each other. That is what I do. And so when you begin to notice that you're being rude, you're being sharp, you're being short with your spouse, as a man, you're not taking care of her the way you know you ought to, and you want to change that, I come alongside you to help you, to show you what you may be missing, the the things that you need to add, how you can tweak that to get the result that you're looking for. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to help men of God, those who are taking responsibility for their marriage, and they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to let the enemy break my marriage. I'm not going to let the enemy cause my children to grow up stressed by the trauma of divorce. I'm going to step up. And even though I know that um, I have a choice of walking away from this, I'm choosing not to. I'm choosing to stand on the word of God and fight for my children, fight for my marriage as well. I'm not going to let the enemy tear my wife down or steal her joy, her peace, her future. I'm going to stand with God, and we're going to recover this marriage. So I stand with you when you have that goal, and we make it work within the shortest time possible. Many times we can get this done in months, and then we'll follow up to make sure that you continue to do what you want to do. So if you are interested in this and you just want to know more, then I will encourage you to register for my masterclass at adesobanjo.com/masterclass. You should find the link of that in the description of this video, adesobanjo.com/masterclass. All right, so let's go on. Read 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. And in the New Living Translation, it says, or rude, which means love is not rude. In the King James Version, it says, does not behave itself unseemly or unseemly. It does not, in Berean Literal Bible says, it does not act unbecomingly. So it does not act disgracefully. New American Standard Bible. It does not act disgracefully. It does not behave rudely. So love, when you love your wife, you're not going to be rude to her. You're not going to behave disgracefully to her. You're not going to behave unseemly to her. We don't use that word so much right now. So what I'm saying is that when you find yourself interrupting your wife when she's speaking, that's rude. And of course, many of us do that without even thinking. And like I shared into yesterday's broadcast, you don't need to know everything that is rude, so stop it. What you need to do is be sincere in your actions. And whenever your wife complains or looks deflated, looks unhappy, responds to your behavior, do not quickly say, oh, why are you acting like that? Rather, examine what you have done that may have hurt her. That's how you know when you're rude. You don't know when you're rude because you're not trying to be rude most times. You are a child of God, so you're not trying to be rude. But someone may find your behavior rude, and when they do and it they say to you you're being rude, you would listen and examine what is in your heart that has caused that. Now, maybe before you started following this series, you were quick to judge other people's comments about you when they say you're rude, or they say what you said I didn't like it. Maybe you would just say, why don't you have thick skin, or why do you complain all the time? Maybe that was your way to respond. And I'm not talking about just your wife now, I'm talking about people in general. And when maybe now you're discovering that these people are doing you a favor, they are blessing you, because whenever you act out of character, it's a sign that there's an underlying problem with your nature. Something has hurt you and needs to be fixed. Just like I shared, when your child is behaving out of character, you become worried. You want to check if they are well. The same with the body, with the spiritual being. When you're not acting like Christ, there's something wrong. And that wrong needs to be fixed. If not, it will continue to grow and it can cut you off from eternal life. It cut you off from God's blessings, cut you off from God's guidance. So you don't want that. You want to continue to flow in line with God. The fact that a person acts in a rude way is usually it's a different kind of behavior, because most times when you're in love with someone, when you fall in love with someone before you got married to your wife, if you were rude to them consistently, they won't marry you. So when a person starts to complain that you're being rude, it's because your thoughts, your mind, the way you see that person has changed. When you see someone as precious to you, when you see someone as important to your future, when you see someone as powerful enough to hurt you and destroy your life, you're not rude to them. Now, I usually ask people, if they say to me, my wife is very rude to me, or my husband is very rude to me, I ask them, are they also rude to their boss at work? Most times people are not, and they're not rude to police officers as well. Why? Because they know, they have a different view of those authority figures and those people who have the power to hurt them, and they're able to control themselves. So what I'm saying is that you become rude to your spouse because you've allowed some thoughts in that trigger you. So when they are disrespectful, so most times when wives are disrespectful to their husbands respond by also disconnecting from them. They say, I don't want to go angry. I want to be sure that I don't hurt you. I don't say things that I'll regret. So they shut down, they move away. And of course, that's also being rude. But the husband figures it's better to be rude than to be violent. It's better to be rude than to hit you, or to say even more hurtful words that cannot be taken back. And so when we find ourselves being triggered to do these things, we need to remember that the reason why we're being triggered is our interpretation of the action. And so when a wife is disrespectful to you, what do you interpret that as? Do you interpret it as she doesn't know that this is rude, or disrespectful, or do you interpret it as she's having a bad day today, and this is how she's reacting, or do you interpret it as she knows that this hurts, and she's just trying to get back at me because she feels that I'm not making her feel safe. Now, if you interpret it as any of the things that I've just said, you're thinking about her, not that she's aiming at hurting you. You're thinking about her as hurting, and with that, your reaction will be different. But if you interpret it as she's just mean and she wants to prove that she's smarter than me, then you will find yourself getting back at her the way that you may not want to be describing a person who has a DNA of love. And so, one of the steps to making sure that your marriage continues to grow is to become a man that is not easily triggered. And that's so important. As a man of God, you don't want to put your trigger button in the hands of anyone. You don't want anyone to be able to change the direction of your day, change your mood, just by saying one thing or the other, or doing one thing or the other, or refusing to do one thing or the other. There's a man like that in the Bible called Haman, who was always frustrated because a man who he thought was beneath him, Mordecai, would not bow to him, and it would just make him his day messed up, and that eventually led him to losing his head. He died. He was killed. Why? Because he was easily triggered by another person's disrespect in his own view, right? What he could have interpreted it as, this man just likes to be defiant, and is going to get it, because everyone who breaks the rules of God and rules of life eventually gets the repercussion of it. You don't have to be the judge. You don't have to be the judge. And that brings me to the reason why we become rude most times, is because we judge. This is why I say we interpret. We judge the person's behavior, we make a conclusion, and then we respond from that conclusion. That's why when a person is rude or proud or starts to brag, we want to put them in their position. And that's why we just become short with them, we become sarcastic, we interrupt them when they are speaking, or we walk away while they are speaking, or we ignore them as if they don't matter to us, because somehow we have concluded that they cannot do anything, or whatever they do doesn't really matter. And when we do that, we cause the wife, you're causing your loving wife to feel that she doesn't matter to your life. And if you do that long enough, she's going to eventually decide that I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. I don't want to be in a place where I'm not valued. And marriages break like that. That's why a lot of men reach out to me when the wife has made up their mind, their wife has made up their mind that she doesn't want to continue like this. So for a man, if you want to build a home that's steady and that continues to grow, then remember that this is not your character. Love is not rude, and if love is not rude, then I'm not rude, and I'm not going to be rude, and I'm going to discover all the different ways that rudeness or dishonor shows up, and I'm going to each time check why that is. Don't be in a hurry to quickly say, I'm not just going to be rude. No, find out, why am I being rude right now? Because she is trying to command me or control me. All right, why is that triggering me? Why can't I see that she's just trying to get love the wrong way? Why can't I see that this is just a bad habit that she has, and figure ways to help her overcome that bad habit? So all this time, I'm just sharing with you things that are not in your character, things that are not supposed to be part of your life, so that you can begin to take responsibility for your own joy and your own peace. Because if you can take responsibility and say, this is not me, I'm not a man that is rude, I'm a man that is kind, I don't interrupt people while they are speaking, I will be patient, I'll listen to them. I don't just walk away from a person when they're speaking. If I won't do that to my boss, I won't do that to my wife. I won't do that to the president of the United States, or to my president of my country, Canada, prime minister of my country, Canada, or any country. I'm not going to do that. If I won't do that to a business partner who we're trying to sign a big deal, then I won't do that to my wife. We need to make up our minds that that's not our character. That's not my life. And when we get triggered like that, we say, okay, I see that this thing triggers me. Why is it triggering me? There's an emotion there that I need to deal with. There's a reason why I'm quickly judging this situation this way. There's a reason why this particular behavior of this person is rubbing me the wrong way. Now, take note that if you practice with others, not just your wife, if you practice with others, you develop the muscle anyway, and you can bring it home. But I find that sometimes these behaviors doesn't show up when some men are outside, only to their wives. Why? Because they have this preconceived idea that their wives are just trying to get at them. And this is where the thing is, to find out, why do I assume that my wife wants to get at me, that my wife is competing with me, that my wife is just wanting to show to me that I'm not big enough for her to respect. Why do I have that idea? Where is it coming from? And why does it mean so much to me that she must respect me? Why? And you may discover that it's because of past experiences where people have pushed you down, where people have made you feel low. And whatever she's doing to you, you're not ignoring it. Excuse me. You're not ignoring what she does. You're saying to yourself, I'm not going to allow that to dictate how I treat her. I'm going to rather let her learn and be comfortable and free around me, and then I can show to her from examples that there's a behavior that you have that hurts me, that really triggers me, and this is what I'm hoping that we can work on. Where's this coming from? Is there something that I'm doing that's making you feel like that? And we work it out. And that's how you build a marriage that is strong and robust, that the enemy cannot come in and break. All right. So love is not rude, and you also are not rude. And no matter how bad a person is, it will not turn you into a person that becomes rude. You can still deal with a person decisively, correctly, get the cops, get whatever you need to do, fire your worker, speak your heart to your wife who may be saying things or behaving in ways that are very disrespectful, and do it without being rude. It can be done, and people do not need to, you don't need to be rude to anyone to pass your message across, because you are a child of God and a child of love. So you're going to continue to move in that area. And when you find yourself being rude, or someone is saying to you you're rude, don't rush to say that, oh, I'm not. No, go back and check. Maybe there's something in there also that needs to be, to help you get better, become more of the man that you want to be. That man whose buttons are not easily pressed. That person who's not easily triggered to do the wrong things. Why? Because you are secured in your relationship with your Father. You are secured in your understanding of who God is in you and who God wants to be through you. First to your wife, your team of two, and then to everybody around you. So important. So important. And of course, we get into this by surrendering more and more to the Lord and just being patient as He works things out. I believe, and I like to share that whatever experiences you're going through, that God allows to come to you, God has allowed it so that you can become better. You can become more of whom He designed you to be. So if you need help in any of this, you want support, you want to follow our roadmap that we'll be using to help many men and women to change their marriages, then don't forget, sign up for the masterclass that's coming up towards the end of this month. adesobanja.com/masterclass. adesobanja.com/masterclass. Now I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 steps, and you have access to me, and you can reach out and find out how I can walk with you through the process. Of course, if you want to get real solutions right away, there are ways you can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to meet with you. You just either put a comment in the video right here, or get on my mailing list. If you register for the masterclass, you'll get my email. I'm going to send you an email to say congratulations, you're registered. You respond to that email. I always respond to my emails by myself. So if you want to, I will respond to you, and we can take it from there. I will be happy to speak to you, respond to your questions, and I look forward to continuing this discussion tomorrow, 5 p.m. as usual, and 5 p.m. Eastern. I look forward to connecting again with you. Until that time, continue to love like Jesus and make mega impact. Bye bye for now.